Hey guys, Dave from Wolfhard Hobbying here, and today we're going to continue looking at painting the avatar model from Forgeworld. In this video we're going to take a look at painting the gold that's on the model. I'm going to be focusing more on the larger parts of gold instead of the small tiny details, as I'll get to those a little later in the painting process. But so to get us started, we're going to start with the gauntlet here, or the bracer, and we're going to go about doing this in a couple of steps. If you wanted a darker gold, you could do a base coat of black, but I'm coming in with Zamesi Desert. This will give our gold kind of a warmer feel, as it is still in a brown spectrum, whereas the black would kind of cool it down, make it look a little older. So it's all the effect that you want to go for, and this is how I usually do my gold, as I like painting gold that really stands out, feels warm, kind of just to give it an effect like it's fairly new. But we're just going to go around on all our gold pieces, and we're just going to give this Zamesi Desert a couple of coats. It doesn't have to be a perfect base coat, as you are going to be putting the gold on top of it. This is just to change the way the gold works. Again, with this, you're going to get a lot of brown tone from it, and it's going to be a bit brighter gold than if it was just a black base coat. It would be a little darker and a little colder, I find. So as you can see here, it's not the perfect base coat for the bracer. A little sloppy, but that doesn't really matter, as we are going to be coming in to cover it up with the gold. And the gold I like to use to start with is Vallejo's Old Gold. You could use any kind of like antique gold color or whatever. I like the old gold, as it is fairly muted down. So again, simple process. We're just going to go over everything we painted in the Zamesi Desert with this old gold. And with Vallejo, you want to kind of thin the paint down with a medium, like Lamaine medium or Vallejo's thinners. And it will take about 2 coats to get a nice smooth looking gold on the model. With the avatar model, you don't want to worry too much about getting a perfectly flat color with your gold, as with the bracers there is a lot of texture in it, because it's supposed to look like it's being heated up if you paint it the original way. But even if you paint it the way I am, it's going to look damaged, which helps sell the effect that is kind of an older bracer. So as you can see here, it's giving it a nice warm tone. You can see the Zamesi Desert kind of blends really nicely with this old gold. So that's why you don't have to worry too much about the base coat of Zamesi Desert being clean and everything like that. You want to make sure your gold color is very clean, but your base coat can be kind of sloppy if you want to just kind of rush through your base coating. So here we are, we're just finishing up the fans, or whatever you would call it, the embellishment on the avatar's helm. I also did his ponytail thing, I'm not sure what that's called, as well as that little bit that is hanging off his ear, or the embellishment on the helmet, and his boots. I'm not sure if that knee pad or area is supposed to be gold, but I decided to go ahead and paint it gold anyways. So there's the finished bracer on that arm, and also did the sword arm. So next we're going to get into the next step that I use all the time when I'm painting gold. We're going to jump in, and we're going to just give it a nice wash. And you can do this a couple ways. You could, if you wanted it to be warmer looking, you could go with a Seraphim Sepia, but I want an older looking gold, so I'm going with Agrax Earthshade. The Seraphim Sepia would kind of just give it that little bit of shading that you would want, but I want the bracer to look kind of dirtied, a little bit worn. So as you can see, I kind of put too much on, but that's all right. Again, when you're working with washes, all you need to do is take a dry brush and you can soak up a lot of that the wash. But I am putting on a heavy wash, as again I do want this to look old, and I'm making sure I'm working the wash into the crevices of all the embellishments on the bracer, as well as with the sword arm and the boots as well, working it into all the cracks and crevices to make it look dirtied. You can't really do it on the embellishments on his helmet, as those are kind of flat pieces, so I'm putting quite a heavy wash on there anyways, but it's going to pool up. It's going to look really gross actually, but when we come in with our next step, it'll fix that. So here again, just working this in. Also on the inside of the gauntlet too, I'm putting a nice wash, nice load of wash in there too, to darken that up, because you're not really going to see that part, but if you happen to turn the model a little bit, you'd be able to see inside, and if you just have the black primer there, it might look a little off. So now I'm coming in and I'm just kind of soaking up some of the pooled wash here, just so that it doesn't look, so that the gold still stands out. It doesn't look like there's muddied water on the bracer. But that's it. So I'm going to go over the entire model, do this to all the gold pieces, and we'll get on to our next step. So to show you here, excuse me, I've washed the boots, and it's really muted down that gold. It still shines through, but it kind of changed the overall value of the gold, which is what we wanted. So next we're gonna start our highlights, and we're only going to focus on the edges here. For some of the parts, just use where the wash didn't stay as where our highlight's going to be, but for the most part, the boots embellishment is where we're going to highlight. So I'm coming in with Vallejo's straight gold. You can use any kind of bright gold. I'm not sure what the equivalent would be for Games Workshop color, but you can find those charts online. So using a small detail brush, we're kind of edge highlighting just the top edge of this embossment or embellishment. And as you can see here with just my first line, how the gold really starts to brighten up and really pop. And that's what we want. We want it to have the embellishments really stand out, especially on this model. Like, you could dry brush this if you want to get it done quickly, but I really feel that with this type of model, doing an edge highlight is a lot better, just because those details there's a lot of them on the model, and if you kind of dry brush, they all blend together and they wouldn't really stand out. So with this color, I'm just going over the entire embellishment. I'm not trying to keep some of the shading in the recesses or anything like that. I'm just going to edge highlight. Now the only place I am going to dry brush the model is these little fans off the side of his helmet, as they are a flat piece, and as you can see, the wash really kind of made that color ugly, so the dry brush would kind of fix that and give it a better look overall. Whereas if I was just to edge highlight it, you still have that really muddied look in the middle, and it would just look actually horrible. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the highlighting, and we'll get on to the next step. So as you can see here on the sword arm, I've edge highlighted all the embellishment, and see how it kind of really pops. That's what I want off the model. I want that gold to really stand out. The rest of the bracer is very muted down, but the edges are very bright. So here we have the dry brushing on the, I'm going to call them fans from now on. We got the dry brushing done on there, and as you can see, the dry brushing with the gold really made it pop and really got rid of that muddied look. So again, just showing you the boot here with the edge highlighting. This boot here, I did dry brushing on it just so you could see the difference. how this brought it up to a brighter gold, whereas compared to this one, it's a little bit muted. But if it's too bright, then you can always go back and just give it another Agrax Earthshade wash. So our next step in highlighting is we're going to go just one more step above this, and you can do this one of two ways. You can use a Golden Griffin dry compound from Citadel, which I'm going to show you on this bracer. I like these for certain things, but if you want specific highlights, then you could also come in with a silver. For this gauntlet or bracer, I'm going to show you coming in with Runefang Steel. This allows you to be a little bit more selective of where your highlights are going to be. So I'm going to show you both, starting with the Griffin Gold on this one. So as you can see, my dry compound's a little screwy there, but it comes clumpy and dry, so that you just have to dab your brush into the pot like so, and then work the pigment into the bristles. Just going to show you there. See, I don't have a ton on there. You can use paper towel, an actual towel, whatever, but for me, as you can see here, I like using my hand as it's always accessible, and I can kind of gauge how much is still on the brush doing it this way. So if you don't mind getting your hands dirty, use your hands. I find it works a lot better than paper towel. So just lightly coming over, you can see it's got kind of more of a silver pigment to it. It's very bright. That's why I like this color for some things. When you're doing old gold like this, it's really great, especially if you've got to batch paint old gold. You can get this done really fast, but I have a little too much on my brush still, so it is distorting the color of more of the flat parts, but that's okay. Again, it's an easy fix of just doing a quick watered down Agrax wash, and that will mute that color down. But as you can see, it gets the job done really, really fast, but with dry brushing, you're going to be covering a large area unless you use a very, very small dry brush, which in case you should just really be edge highlighting. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix that color right in there. As you can see, I had too much in my starting area, so just working it around, trying to even out the colors so that it doesn't look out of place or anything like that. So that's the dry compound of Griffin Gold, and it probably will get looked over when you're painting a sword or anything like that. So coming in here, we're going to be doing the selecting places on the embellishment with the silver. I've gone ahead and did the two corner parts there on the gauntlet. I'm going to do around the rim, and this part you want to be very selective of it. This is good for large pieces of gold, or if you want to really control where your highlight is coming from. So again, coming in with Runefang Steel, and we're just going to use a detail brush and pick out where we want the highlights to be. So again, you probably want it on the corners. I'm putting it on the point of the gauntlet here. As you can see, it's a very subtle highlight, but when you see it in person, it does really make the gold stand out, which is a little bit weird to think about, but overall it's a really good effect. It kind of also could make the gold look like it's worn, scraped off a little bit, and things like that. So you want to pick the highest points on the gold that you want to do this highlight, and you don't want to bring this highlight too far, or else it's going to look a little strange. So if you want a bright highlight, then I'd go with the Griffin Gold. But that's it, guys. That's how I paint gold. And if you have any comments on how I could better my techniques, please leave them in the comment section below. As well as I will be putting a link to my Facebook and Patreon accounts in the video description. So if you'd like to pop on over there and send me a message on Facebook or show some support on Patreon, that'd be really cool. I want to thank you guys again for watching the video, and have yourselves a great day.